Welcome to the set of our history show number 280 as we tape It Happened in Grand Prairie, Texas. In doing this, we bring you the history of our city and also some of the people that have caused the history to come into being and continue to make history in our city. We're very pleased today that we have a very special trio to help us begin the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the St. John Baptist Church, and we are very excited to welcome, first of all, the pastor. Pastor Denny Davis, welcome to the set, young man.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes, you are, and this is the second time we've had you on the set, but it's been a couple of 3 years ago since we've had you on our show, so we're glad that we roped you in again today.
I want to thank you for inviting me again.
Oh, you bet. Oh, and Dinah Brown, we are excited to get about getting you here today.
Thank you.
An elusive young lady that really doesn't care to come on television, very private person, but for St. John, you'd get out and come and be with us, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes.
And you are the chairperson, I believe, or the chairman of all of this happening for this celebration, right?
Yes, of the anniversary.
For the anniversary. You have a very, I believe, famous dad that's very important in the Dalworth community, Mr. Sam Brown and his beautiful wife. They're so wonderful, and you're to be very proud of them as well as St. John, right?
I am. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
And finally, at the very far end of this row, Oliver Thompson. Oliver, you are so special to Grand Prairie, Texas. Welcome to the set.
Thanks for having me today.
You
really.
bet. And Oliver not only is involved in this as a committee member, but he has served on many boards and commissions for our city of Grand Prairie, Texas, and we thank you for all of the good service you've given to us in that way.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about St. John. Now that's going to be fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, I think we better get to Dinah and let her kind of set the stage for us and tell us a little bit about 75 years. That's a long time.
Yes, we're excited about our 75-year celebration. It's our 75th Diamond Jubilee.
Yes.
And we're in the midst of planning all the celebrations, and our goal is to get our entire membership involved and also the community.
All right. I received a letter the other day from Sally Moore, and she said, we're doing ads. Are you going to do a memory book as you've done here when you had I believe, the 53rd anniversary of your church?
Yes, we're doing a souvenir book, and we're getting ads, and we're putting in events, exciting events into the book. We're having our ministries in the brochure, and also businesses of members that are of our church. Individual ads also, and we're in the community. We thank you also for your ad.
You're welcome. All right, now how about the beginning of the church 75 years ago? Is there a history being written so that we'll know the first pastor and maybe some of the charter members? Will all of that be documented in your history book?
Oh yes, we have a list of our history that includes the founding members and also the members that have passed and gone away.
Yes.
The ones that are here, that are living now. We have also, of course, Brother Daniels, David Daniels, and Sam Brown, and also Miss Ida Mae Prairie. Those are some of our founding members.
That is wonderful. All right, what are you going to have on a special day? Do you have a special day set aside for this celebration? We need to document the date so everyone that's in our viewing audience may want to come and help y'all celebrate.
Well, we have exciting things planned. We have, to begin, we have the Saturday before our anniversary. Our anniversary runs July 28th. It's July 28th, and the Saturday before that we're having what we call Earth Day.
Okay.
And that's where we're going to have each member to pledge an hour of their time on that Saturday. We'll start at 7 o'clock in the morning to come and help beautify the church. We'll plant flowers and shrubs and do things inside the building. The Wednesday before that Sunday celebration, we'll have our Wednesday night prayer service, and we will have it at our old location on Spike Street.
Oh, the church formerly was on Spike Street.
On Spike Street.
Oh, yes.
Picture of that church.
We need to get a picture of that. Yeah, let's hold that up. Thank you, Pastor Denny Davis. That is great. Yes.
And we'll be worshiping with the church that is now occupying that building.
All
On
right.
a Wednesday evening.
And there is a church located there now, and what church now fills that building?
The Reformed Church of God in Christ. And so we wanted to remember the past as well as try to be a help and a blessing to another congregation. And so as a part of our 75th church anniversary services, we decided to inquire about going back to the old location and have a service there, and that would in turn also enable us to bless another congregation. And so that congregation recently acquired their facility from us, and they've consented to join us in a night of worship. And so we look forward to that experience.
Oh, that will be wonderful. All right. With all of this history and with all of these wonderful, is there anything else that we need to know about the celebration?
Sure. On the Thursday night, we're having what we call our Ministry Expo. That's where each ministry will be set up, and it will be open for all of our new members who may not be aware of all the ministries that are available at our church right now. Also on the Friday night, the ministries will get together and they will have a social to introduce the new members to their ministry. And then Saturday is our church picnic.
Okay.
And we'll have lots of food and fun. And then Sunday is our big event.
And Sunday is the big event, and you're in charge, Pastor Denny Davis, right?
Right. We're looking forward to that Sunday. On that Sunday morning at our 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. worship, we've invited Reverend Stephen Clay of the Messiah Missionary Baptist Church of Indianapolis, Indiana, to be our guest speaker. And then at the 3:30 anniversary hour, we've invited Reverend J.R. Shepherd and the Ben Washington Baptist Church of Irving, Texas, to be our guest church, and he will bring the anniversary message. He was just recently featured in the paper for 35 years of service in the Irving community.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's going to be so special for St. John. I'm going to let both of you all rest a minute, and now we're going to go to Oliver. Now, Oliver Thompson, how long have you been in Grand Prairie, and especially been a member at St. John?
I moved to Grand Prairie in 1971, and I joined St. John in 1972. We are very excited about this occasion because we are able to look at our past history and use that as a measuring stick as to where we are and where we are anticipate being led by our pastor, Pastor Davis. We are very excited because we are doing our very best to do and to keep the Word of God before us, and we can't help but be excited about the blessing, especially after we look at what the David Daniels, the Sam Browns, and the Otto May Perrys, the commitment that they made in 1921 and where we are today. It's a very exciting event.
Wonderful. Now, who is in charge of music for all of this great happening?
Well, I'm excited to be able to say that my wife, Sister Wanda Davis, serves as our minister of music, and she will be coordinating the music for each of these worship services that have been planned. Also, we have a tremendous music staff that assist her, namely Brother Billy Mucker, who's one of our organists, Brother Keith Walker, he's another one of our organists, also Lisa Wilson, who serves as our pianist, and then we have Assistant Director Helen Penny, and then there are a host of others who time will not permit me to announce all of their names, but yes, we also want to thank Brother Powell, who plays percussions for us, and then Brother Keith Thomas, who plays the drums, and Brother Charles Cox, who plays the bass guitar, and then we have Brother Greg Jones, who also plays the drums for us, and then there's a host of other musicians and directors, but these individuals make up the core of our music ministry.
Now, this is a real celebration group. Are they going to have a spotlight any one of the 5 or 6 days that you're having there, or will there be some music at all of your happenings?
Yes, we're planning for the music music department to be involved in each of our worship services, and perhaps maybe the Wednesday night service will be a opportunity for them to really showcase their talent and ability as we go back to the old location.
Yes, won't that be fun?
That would be exciting. I'm looking forward to going there. I've only had the opportunity of walking in there once or twice. I've never actually worshiped in there.
Yes.
And so to be able to go back and to worship there and to be able to deliver a message in that pulpit is going to be an exciting experience for me.
You'll get the feel of how it was those many long years ago, right?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. All right, Oliver, one more time. I need to, since you came in 71 and came there in 72 to St. John, how big was the congregation when you joined it? Were you pretty happy with where you were?
Yes, I was very excited about the congregation because the very first Sunday that I came to St. John, one gentleman came to me, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. That was Deacon Sam Brown came to me and welcomed me to the community and to the church at that time. And I was excited, and not only was I welcomed, it was my entire family. And we felt so at home, and just to worship and give thanks to God and be around a caring group of people, which the St. John family was at that time and is today. And so Deacon Brown and Dr. Daniels made a very lasting impression on me.
All right. Have you seen it change since
Yes,
1972?
I have. Yes, I have. It was roughly around 75 to 125 members or so. And we stayed within that neighborhood as far as the membership was concerned until our current pastor came. It was peaks and valleys, but it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
Was all of this at the building on spikes?
At the building on spikes. We moved over to 1701 Jefferson in 1988.
Okay.
And at that time, we created some room for growth, and so we had a few members to come in. But the most exciting thing about today compared to then, from the time I came, St. John Baptist Church was a Dalworth-oriented membership.
Yes.
And today, we have members throughout the Metroplex.
Yes.
And so it's exciting. It's exciting about it because we are able to look at yesterday, look where we are today, and have joy where we anticipate on being tomorrow.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, now, Brother Denny Davis, the pastor, the leader, the inspirer, I have heard. Would you like to look out into your camera and tell us when you came on board and where you came from before you came to St. John?
Okay. I was looking at the journal here from the 53rd church anniversary, and had some interesting details in here. And one of the things that was of interest to me is the early beginnings of the church. And as the history records, that there were 13 persons who started out with the St. John Church at the very beginning. And then not only that, but as I was reading the history, I also discovered how the church at one point had purchased an old army barrack as a facility for worship. And then also how at one point they even worshiped in members' homes until such time that they were able to move forward and establish a permanent place for the church. And then the history of the church reveals how other churches within the community opened their doors to provide an opportunity for this ministry to grow. And the history points out that the evening chapel, AME Church, opened its doors for the first and third Sundays for several months. And then as the later part of the year of services were held at the Dalworth School, and then the church's first building was an old store building purchased from the proceeds received from a July 4th picnic in 1923, and the building was moved to a site on El Paso Street where it remained through 9 pastors, and then later there was the relocation to the Spike Street address. I believe based on listening to parishioners, that Brother David Daniels was very instrumental in the purchasing of the Army barrack that the church was housed in at one point in time. What's exciting to me is that when we read the history of the church and we see the formation of the church and deal with its early beginnings up until this present time, that the church represents a people who have a mind to work and a mind to go forward in the name of the Lord. And so the church has never been tied down to one geographical location, but has continued to be open to the will of God and the direction of God in terms of location and facility, as well as programs and ministries. And so when I arrived upon the scene in 1991, I had been pastoring inner city Dallas, the Mount Rose Baptist Church, where I had been pastoring for about 7 years. And then I received the call to come to Grand Prairie to the St. John Church. And upon arriving there, I found an excited group that was looking forward to the future and anticipating growth and looking for opportunities to do ministry on some new levels. And so the energy and the excitement that the people possessed ignited my energy level. And it's been a beautiful union ever since then. And we're just excited about the marriage that God has brought between St. John and myself.
And taking over in all of the Metroplex, you have grown from the 125 or 150 to what now?
At the time in which I arrived at the church, we did a census and we determined that there were 166 members, and currently we have approximately 3,400 on our membership roll, and on a weekly basis we fellowship approximately about 2,200 strong between our 2 morning worship services. Also, we've been able to develop quite a few new ministries, and at this point, I think when I originally started there, we probably had about 16, 18 ministries functioning, and now we have in excess of 60 ministries. We've been able to expand facilities, and we also have been able to acquire several buses to help mobilize the ministry. And we have developed a holistic ministry approach which deals with not only in-reach but outreach, how we will affect and impact the community around us. Our motto at the church is that we believe that we are a church in the heart of the community, with the community at heart. And so as we think about vision and as we think about ministry and programs, we always think in terms of not only in-reach but outreach, and how we can help make Grand Prairie, and not only Grand Prairie, but the communities that connect with Grand Prairie, a better place to live. God has given us a larger field of ministry. At one point, the base of our membership was primarily Grand Prairie, but God has now opened doors of opportunity for us to be able to experience friendships as well as memberships across the Metroplex. And so our membership base now consists of Fort Worth, Arlington, Irving, Grand Prairie, Dallas, Euless, Bedford, Hurst, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, even as far as Rowlett and far north Dallas. We have members driving to be a part of the worship experience at St. John.
That's wonderful. We're just going to get you to proselyte them to bring them on to Grand Prairie, or a little bit closer to the church building, and that really will help us to build, won't it?
Right.
I'd like to ask one more thing. You told us where you came from. What brought you into the ministry in the first place? A young man that probably could have done anything with his life, but has chosen a special way.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that, because I did have other plans for my life, but at the age of 14, I felt the call of God upon my life to enter into ministry. I tried for quite some time to ignore his call.
Yes.
And to find other things to occupy my interest, and finally I had to yield to the call of God, and at the age of 14 I started preaching. And so I'm looking forward to this 75th anniversary, because it marks 19 years of preaching for me, but also this represents my 12th year of pastoring.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. All right. Would you say that you are doing this alone, or do you have a wonderful, wonderful backup staff that really does help you considerably?
I want to thank you for bringing up that staff. One of the things I have discovered as our church has grown,
Yes.
it has also demanded of us to move in the area of staffing. I can recall that 5 years ago, when I first arrived at the St. John Church, that we had very limited staffing, primarily a musician and myself. And now our staff has increased to some 16 persons, and we thank God for them. I have 2 associate pastors, Reverend Linton and Reverend Ford, who serves as our senior associate pastor. Also, we have a Reverend Daryl Lanier, who serves as our youth pastor. And then we have office manager Karen Caston, and then I have administrative assistant, Brother William Mitchell. And I'm thinking hard because I don't want to forget anybody who helps me get the job done. We have others who serve as a part of our volunteer staff, Sister Dorothy Thompson, who is our program coordinator, who kind of keeps all of the ministries on target and keep up with them and track those very important auxiliaries. Also, we have Sister Doria Deckard. That's right, she's been there a long time and has served as church clerk. And now we utilize her not only as church clerk, but church recording secretary and also receptionist during the week. Then we have also Reverend David Hill, who serves as a personal assistant to me, as well as is working in a new ministry, which we're calling Generations, which is providing transportation for our senior citizens on a weekly basis to various destinations, doctors' offices, and hospitals, as well as grocery stores and banks or whatever else they might need to do that week. And so he's a tremendous help for us also.
Taking care of the full needs of the person is so important, and I think you've touched just the right buttons to, no wonder you've grown from 166 to approximately 3,400, because you care for people, and that's very, very important, isn't it?
I think it is. I believe that the essence of our ministry is to meet the needs of humanity. And we're looking forward to a very bright and promising future as we continue to build off of that model of ministering one unto another. We're looking forward during this 75th church anniversary to be able to unveil the plans and the drawings of our upcoming building expansion, which we are in the process of fine-tuning those prints at this point in time. We're looking forward to developing a facility that will enable us to develop a whole life ministry. We're moving in the area of a family life center.
Excellent.
And a family life ministry. And so it's going to consist of a four-floor facility, which will house a gymnasium, a jogging track, a fitness room, weight room, also about 34 classrooms and about eight or 10 administrative offices, as well as an array of other amenities.
Yes, I'm so glad I asked you these last 2 questions. Now, didn't he said he wasn't going to say anything, and he got excited when you start talking about progress and the future and all of this good stuff. It's wonderful, Pastor Denny Davis. I need to get back with Dinah just a minute. Dinah, you've been a member of St. John how long?
I've been a member over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
If I say any more, I'll be telling my age.
Yes, we're not going to we're 30-something. We're not going to put you on the spot like that.
They normally say I was born in the church.
I was
Yes.
born in the church.
Oh, yes, that's good. Ladies have a habit of saying that, don't they? I'd like for you to tell us about your grandmother. You mentioned your grandmother, and your grandmother worshiped at this church?
My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and myself. So at one time we had 5 generations were at the church. My grandfather, as you mentioned before, Sam Brown, he was one of the deacons at St.
Yes.
John for quite a long time, or ever since I can remember, he has been a deacon there. And I've seen St. John really grow in spirit as well as in numbers. We have we've been in the several different ministries. We were involved in the church athletic ministry, even when we started in Spike Street, which Oh, we do have pictures here.
Oh, yes.
And this is one of our first winning teams, as I say.
Yeah, hold that one up. And
where we competed with against the
Yes.
different churches here in the area, and of course we went on to the state and the regionals, and this is one of our winning teams.
Yeah.
We've also
Let me insert one of you on that.
Okay.
She informed me that this is our first winning team, and we are also excited to be able to say that our winning tradition continues, and that this year our athletic ministry, in particular our softball team, did come in second place in the city, and
great.
last year as well as this year went on to the state. And so we're excited to know that St. John has had a history of tremendous softball players.
you bet. That's
continuing the winning
Yeah, continuing that winning way.
that winning way.
Oh, that is
We
great.
also have now, and speaking of our sporting activities or youth activities, we have youth sporting activities, soccer for both the girls and the boys. We also have so many different, we have a social service ministry which is just getting started, which our First Lady is head of that also. St. John has just really grown and been a blessing to my family and the community as a whole. We have several church members that are longtime Grand Prairie residents, and I can see the growth in them as well as their families.
All right, Brother Denny Davis, in the wind down, I want you to look out into your camera. You're going to have to invite everyone to the celebration, and if we have half a minute left, we'll let Oliver say y'all come also.
Once again, thank you, Sister Jackson, for inviting us to come and to be a part of the program today. Again, I want to say to the entire viewing audience, you are invited to come and be a part of our 75th church anniversary service. But then not only that, but you're invited to come and become a part of this exciting, growing ministry as we seek to do the will and the word and the way of God. We ask now that you'll be in prayer for us as we go forth, as we continue to think about ministry and pray over ministry and develop ministry, that the ministry that God lays upon our heart will be relevant to the needs of the city as well as community and parishioners as they shall come and unite with St. John. I'll provide a moment for them.
Yes, half a minute for you, Oliver.
Mrs. Jackson, I want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to come and get some exposure to our fellow citizens here in Grand Prairie. We are a warm, loving church. Our doors and hearts are always open, and we really invite you to come and worship God with us. Because of the excitement and the joy that we have, the world just can't give it to you.
Wonderful. And thank you all so much for being here today. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do. And thank you.
Thank you. Takes a while to get warmed up.